Hello everyone. Today I will continue the story diary of a wimpy kid. Book 2 Rodrick Rules by Chap Kinney. September, Monday. I guess mom was really proud of herself for making me write in that journal last year because now she went and bought me another one. But remember how I said that if some jerk caught me carrying a book with diary on the cover, they were gonna get the wrong idea. Well, that's exactly what happened today. Now that Rodrick knows I have another journal, I better remember to keep this one locked. I better remember to keep this one locked up. Rodrick actually got a hold of my last journal a few weeks back, and it was a disaster. But don't even get me started on that story. Even without my Rodrick problems, my summer was really lousy. Our family didn't go anywhere or do anything fun, and that's fault. That made me join the swim team again. And he wanted to make sure I didn't miss any meets this year. Dad got this idea that I'm destined to be a great swimmer or something. So that's why he makes me join the team every summer. At the first swim meet a couple years ago, Dad told me that when the umpire shot off the starter pistol, I was supposed to dive in and start swimming. But what he didn't tell me was that the starter gun only fired blanks. So I was a whole lot more worried about where the bullet was gonna land than I was about getting myself to the other end of the pool. Even after that explained the whole starter pistol concept to me, I was still the worst swimmer on the team. But I did end up winning most improved at the awards banquet at the end of the summer. That's only because there was a 10-minute difference between my first race and my last one. So I guess that's still waiting for me to live up to my potential. In a lot of ways, being on a swim team was worse than being in middle school. First of all, I had to be at the pool at 7:30 every morning, and the water was always freezing cold. And second of all, we were all crammed into 2 lanes. So I always had somebody in my tail trying to get around me. The reason we had to use two lanes were because swim practice was at the same time at the water jazz class. I actually tried to convince Dad to let me do water jazz instead of swim team, but he wouldn't go for it. This was the first summer the coach let us boys wear swim trunks instead of those skimpy racing trunks. But Mom said Rodrick's hand-me-down bathing suit were perfectly fine. After swim practice, Rodrick would pick me up in his band. Mom had this crazy idea that if me and Rodrick spent quality time on the ride home every day, we wouldn't fight as much. But all it did was making things a lot worse. Rodrick was always a half hour late picking me up, and he wouldn't let me sit up front. He said the chlorine would ruin his seat, even though the van is something like 15 years old. Rodrick's van doesn't actually have any seats in the back, so I had to squeeze in with all the band equipment. And every time the van came to a stop, I had to pray I didn't get my head taken off by one of Rodrick's drums. I ended up walking home every day instead of getting a ride from Rodrick. I figured it was better to just walk the 2 miles than to get brain damage riding in the back of that van. Halfway through the summer, I decided I was really much done with swim team, so I came up with a trick to get out of practice. I'd swim a few laps and then I'd ask the coach if I could use the bathroom. Then I'd just hide out in the locker room until practice was over. The only problem with my plan was that it was something like 40 degrees in the boys' bathroom. So it was even colder in there than it was in the pool. I had to wrap myself up in toilet paper so I didn't get hypothermia. That's now I spent a pretty big chunk of my summer vacation. And that's why I'm actually looking forward to going back to school tomorrow. Tuesday. When I got to school today, everybody was acting all strange around me. And at first, I didn't know what was up. Then I remembered I still had the cheese touch from last year. I got the cheese touch in the last year of school, and over the summer I completely forgot about it. The problem with the cheese touch is that you forgot it until you can pass it on to someone else, but nobody would even get within 30 feet on me. So I knew I was gonna be stuck with the cheese touch for the whole school year. Luckily, there was a new kid named Jeremy Pindle in homeroom, so that took care of that problem. My first class was free algebra, and the teacher put me right next to Alex Aruda, the smartest kid in the whole class. Alex is super easy to copy of because he always finishes his test early and puts his paper down on the floor next to him. So if I ever get in a pinch, it's nice to know I can count on Alex to bail me out. Kids whose last name start with the first few letters of the alphabet get called on the most by the teacher, and that's why they end up being the smartest. Some people think that's not true, but if you want to come down to my school, I can prove it. Alex Aruda, Christopher Chiago. I can only think of one kid who broke the last name rule, and that's Peter Uteger. Peter was the smartest kid in the class all the way up until the 5th grade. That's when a bunch of us started giving him a hard time about how his initials sounded when you said them out loud. This day, Peter doesn't raise his hand at all, and he's pretty much a C student. I guess I feel a little bad about the whole PU thing, and that's happened to Peter. But it's hard not to take credit whenever it comes up. Haha. Anyway, today I got really decent sit in all my classes except 7th period history. My teacher is Mr. Huff, and something tells me he had Rodrick as a student a few years back. Mr. Huffley, you'll be sitting in this chair next to my desk Wednesday. Mom had been making me and Rodrick help out more around the house, and now the two of us are responsible for doing the dishes every night. The rule is that we are not allowed to watch any TV or play video games until all the dishes are done. But let me just say that Rodrick is the worst dishes potter in the world. As soon as dinner is over, he goes upstairs to the bedroom and camps out there for an hour. And by the time he comes back downstairs, I'm already done. But if I ever complain to Mom and Dad, Rodrick always pulls out the same lame excuse. My body is on a schedule. I think mom and dad are too worried about my little brother money to get involved in the in a fight between me and Rodrick right now anyway. Someone outside. Yesterday, Manny threw a picture at daycare, and mom and dad got really upset when they found it in his backpack. Mom and dad thought the picture was supposed to be of them. So now they're acting all lovey in front of Manny. I love you so much. And I love you so much. I knew who it was really supposed to be in the picture, me and Rodrick. We got into a big blowout over the remote control the other night, but Manny was there to witness the whole thing. And Manny was there to witness the whole thing. But mom and dad don't need to find out about that. Thursday, another reason my summer was kind of lame was because my best friend Rowley was on vacation really much the whole time. I think he went to South America or something. But to be honest with you, I'm not really sure. I don't know if this makes me a bad person or whatever, but it's hard for me to get interested in other people's vacation. Besides, it seems like Rowley's family is always traveling to some crazy place in the world, and I can never keep their trips straight. The other reason I don't care about Rowley's trips is because whenever Rowley comes back from one of his vacations, he always crams it down my throat. Last year, Rowley and his family went to Australia for 10 days, but from the way he acted when he got back, you'd think he lived there his whole life. Another thing that's really annoying is that whenever Rowley goes to some new country, he gets into whatever fad is going on over there. Like when Rowley got back from Europe 2 years ago, he got hooked on this pop singer named Joshi, who I guess is some huge star or something. So Rowley came back with his bag full of Joshi CDs and posters and stuff. I took one look at the picture on the CD and told Rowley that Joshi was supposed to be for 6-year-old girls, but he didn't believe me. Rowley said I was just jealous because he was the one who discovered Joshi. And what made it really irritating was that now this guy was Rowley's new hero. So if I ever tried to say anything critical at all, Rowley didn't want to hear it. Speaking for foreign countries, today in French class, Madame Lefrère told us we are going to be choosing pen pals this year. When Rodrick was in middle school, he had a 17 years old girl from Holland at his pen pal. I know because I've seen the letters in his junk drawer. When Madame Lefray handed out the forms, I make sure I checked up the boxes that would get me a pen pal just like Rodrick's. But after Madame Lefray read over my form, he made me start over and pick again. She said I had to choose a boy who is my age and he had to be French. So I don't exactly have high hopes for my pen pal experience. Friday, Mom decided to start making Rodrick pick me up after school, just like he picked me up after swim practice. I guess that means she didn't learn from that experience, but I did. So when Rodrick picked me up today, I asked him to please take it easy on the brakes. Rodrick said okay, but then he went out of his way to find every speed bump in town. When I got out of the van, I called Rodrick a big jerk, and then it got physical. Mom saw the whole thing unfold from the living room window. Mom met us inside and she sat us up there at the kitchen table. When she said me and Rodrick were going to have a settle our differences in a civil manner, Mom told me and Rodrick we each had to write down what we did wrong, and then we had to draw a picture to go along with it. And I knew exactly where Mom was going with that idea. Mom used to be a preschool teacher, and whenever a kid would do something wrong, she'd make him draw a picture of it. I guess the idea was to make the kid feel ashamed of what he did so he wouldn't do it again. Well, Mom's idea might have worked great on a bunch of 4-year-olds, but she's going to have to think of something better if she wants me and Rodrick to get along. The truth is, Rodrick can really much treat me any way he wants because he knows there's nothing I can do about it. See, Rodrick is the only one who knows about these really embarrassing things that happened to me over the summer, and he's been holding it over my head ever since. So if I ever tell on him for anything, he'll spill my secret to the whole world. I just wish I had some dirt on him to even things out. I do know one embarrassing thing about Rodrick, but I don't think it's gonna do me any good. When Rodrick was a sophomore, He was sick the day they did school photos. So mom told dad to mail in Rodrick freshman picture for the school to you in the yearbook. Don't ask me how that screwed this up, but he sent Rodrick's second grade picture. And believe it or not, it actually got printed. Unfortunately, Rodrick was smart enough to rip that page out of his yearbook. So, if I've ever gonna find something to you against him, I guess I have to keep digging. Wednesday. Ever since Mom assigned the dishes to me and Rodrick, that's been going down to the furnace room after dinner to work on this miniature Civil War battlefield of his that spans at least 3 hours a night down there working on that thing. I think Dad would be happy to spend the whole weekend working on his battlefield, but Mom had other plans for him. Mom likes to rent these romantic comedies and she makes Dad watch them with her. But I know that it's just waiting for the first chance to break away and go back down to the basement. Whenever that can't be down in the furnace room, he makes sure us kids keeps away from it. That won't let me and Rodrick go near his battlefield because he thinks we're gonna mess something up. And earlier today, I overheard Dad say something to Manny to make sure he doesn't go poking around back there either. I think I just heard some grunting noises coming from the furnace room. Saturday. Rowley came over to my house today. That doesn't like it when Rowley comes over, because Dad always says Rowley is accident prone. I think it's because this one time Rowley was eating dinner here and he dropped a plate and broke it. So now Dad has this idea that Rowley is going to ruin his whole Civil War battlefield in one clumsy move. Whenever Rowley comes over to my house this day, he gets the same greeting. The basement is off limits. Yes, sir. Rowley's dad doesn't like me either. That's why I don't go over to his house much anymore. The last time I spent a night at Rowley's to watch this movie where some kids taught themselves a secret language that no grown-ups could understand. Me and Rowley thought that was really cool, and we tried to figure out how to talk in the same language the kids were using in the movie. But we couldn't really get the hang of it. So we made up our own secret language. Then we tried it out at dinner. You paw that paw, smells paw like paw a woman paw. Heh heh heh. But Rowley's dad must have cracked our code because I ended up getting sent home before dessert. And I haven't been invited to spend a night at Rowley's ever since. Then Rowley came over to my house today. He brought a bunch of pictures from his trip with him. He said the best part of his vacation was when they went on a river safari, and he showed me all the blurry pictures of birds and stuff. Now I've been to the Wild Kingdom amusement park a bunch of times, and they have this river rabbits ride where they have these awesome robot animals like gorilla and dinosaurs. If you ask me, Rowley's parents should have just saved their money and taken him there instead. But of course, Rowley didn't want to hear about my experiences. So he just gathered up his pictures and went back home. Tonight after dinner, Mom and Dad watched one of the movies she rented, but Dad really wanted to work on his Civil War battlefield. When Mom got up to go to the bathroom, Dad stuffed a bunch of pillows under the blanket on his side of the bed to make it look like he was asleep. Mom didn't find out about that decoy until after the movie was over. She made Dad come to bed even though it was only 8:30. And now Manny sleeps in Mom and Dad's bed because he's afraid of the monster that lives in the furnace room. Tuesday, I thought I was done hearing about Rowley's trip, but I was wrong. Yesterday, our social studies teacher asked Rowley to tell the class all about his vacation, and today he came to school wearing this ridiculous costume. But that what even worse was when some girls came up to Rowley at lunch and started kissing his butt. But when I realized maybe it wasn't such a bad thing after all, so I started parading Rowley around the cafeteria because after all, he is my best friend. Saturday, Dad had been taking me to the mall every Saturday for the past few weeks. At first, I thought it was because he wanted to spend more time with me, but then I realized he's just making sure he's out of the house for Rodrick band practices, which I can totally understand. Rodrick and his heavy metal band practiced in the basement on weekends. The lead, the lead singer of the band is this guy named Bill Water, and me and Dad bumped into Bill on the way out the door today morning, Mr. Hadley. Bill doesn't have a job and he still lived with his parents even though he's 35 years old. I'm pretty sure that's our worst fear. Fear is that Rodrick is going to see Bill as some kind of role model, and that Rodrick will want to follow in Bill's footsteps. So whenever Dad sees Bill, it just puts him in a bad mood for the rest of the day. The reason Rodrick invited Bill to be in his band was because Bill got voted most likely to be a rock star when he was in high school. That hasn't really worked out for Bill yet, and I think I heard Anna Rantham is in reason. Anyway, me and Dad went to the mall for a few hours today, but when we got back, Rodrick's band practice wasn't over yet. You could hear the guitars and drums from a block away, and there were a bunch of random teenagers hanging out in our driveway. I guess they must have heard the music coming out of the basement and got drawn to it, sort of like how moths get drawn to the light. Then Dad saw all those teenagers in the driveway. He totally freaked out. Dad ran inside to call the cops, but Mom stopped him before he could dial 911. Mom said those teenagers weren't doing any harm and that they were just appreciating Rodrick's music. But I don't even know how she could say that with a straight face. And if you ever heard Rodrick's band, you'd know what I mean. That couldn't relax with all those teenagers out in the driveway. So Dad went upstairs and got his boombox. Then he put in a classical music CD and let it play. And you would not believe how quickly the driveway cleared out after that. Dad was really proud of himself for thinking of that one, but Mom accused him to getting rid of Rodrick's fans on purpose. What? I can't enjoy my music too? Said Jay. Today on the car ride to church, I was making faces at Manny, trying to get him to laugh. I make this one face that made Manny laugh so hard that apple juice came out of his nose. But then Mom said, "You could have killed him." Well, once Mom put that thought in Manny's head, it was all over. See, this is the reason I keep my distance from Manny. Every time I try to have a little fun with him, I ended up regretting it. I remember when I was younger and mom and dad told me I was getting a little brother. I was really excited. After all those years of getting pushed around by Rodrick, I was definitely ready to move up a notch on totem pole. But mom and dad have always been super protective of Manny and they won't let me lay a finger on him, even if he totally deserves it. Like the other day, I plugged my in my video game system and it wouldn't start. I opened it up and found out that Manny had stuffed a chocolate chip cookie in the disk drive. And of course, Manny used the same excuse he always uses when he breaks my stuff. I always only three. I really wanted to let Manny have it, but I couldn't do anything with mom standing right there. Mom said would have a talk with Manny and they went downstairs. A half hour later, they came back up to my room and Manny was holding something in his hands. I'm sorry, puppy. It was a ball of tin foil with with a bunch of toothpicks sticking out of it. Don't ask me how that was supposed to make up for my broken video game system. I went to throw the stupid thing away, but mom wouldn't even let me do that. Your brother made that for you. The first chance I get, that thing's going to be going in the trash because mark my words, if I don't get rid of it, I gonna end it up sitting on it. Even though Manny drive me totally nuts, there is one reason I like having him around. Ever since Manny started talking, Rodrick has stopped making me sell chocolate bars for his school fundraisers, and believe me, I'm grateful for that. Okay, see you next time.